The ship's horn hadn't even finished echoing across the river when I wrapped my hands around the railing of the owner's suite balcony. The Mississippi wind cut through the thick morning heat, carrying the scent of churned river water and diesel, a scent I had always loved. It meant motion. Power. Command. Down below, the passengers lined up like ants swarming sugar. They were pushing and shouting, arguing with porters, dragging suitcases as if each one carried the weight of their future, but I wasn't looking at them. My eyes searched for two people only, Tavorius and Kenyatta, standing near the general boarding area, dripping in humidity and entitlement. Kenyatta fanned herself dramatically, as if the world personally offended her. Tavorius tugged at his collar, miserable. Two massive suitcases leaned against his legs. One pink. One gold. Both expensive. Both new, bought with my money, the same money they told me was for repairing the roof. The same money they said vanished into mold treatment. The same money they convinced me to give while pretending poverty and suffering. $15,000, almost every cent of my last savings, and now there they were, dressed for vacation, not a single sign of financial struggle anywhere on them. Kenyatta wore a sun hat big enough to block a solar eclipse, and diamond earrings glittered like tiny stars. She looked like the leading actress of a low-budget drama, someone who works really hard to pretend wealth instead of earning it. Tavorius, my son, stood beside her like a tired bellboy, watched them through my sunglasses, hidden by tinted glass in distance. They had no idea I was aboard. No idea I had taken control. No idea whose ship this truly was, and no idea what was coming. A soft knock sounded behind me. "Madam St. James," a gentle voice said. "Your coffee." I turned. A young steward, crisp uniform, polished shoes, nervous smile, held a silver tray with delicate porcelain, a golden spoon, and a sugar cube holder shaped like a seashell, the kind of luxury I once lived daily. Before I handed everything over to a son who never grew into a man, "Thank you," I said. He bowed. Not a single person had bowed to me in 13 years. The feeling hit like a forgotten memory reawakening, respect, recognition. Authority. He placed the tray down on the marble table inside the suite and took a discreet step back. "Captain Thaddeus extends his respects," he said. "He instructs me to inform you that Phase 1 is complete. Whenever you give the signal, Phase 2 will begin." His eyes flicked to the giant monitor showing live internal camera feeds. The feed zoomed in on stateroom 404, the Diamond Suite. Kenyatta and Tavorius had just entered. Their mouths were hanging open like fish thrown onto a dock. Kenyatta twirled. Tavorius whistled. They had no idea someone else already owned that suite. They had no idea I owned that suite. That ship. The company. "Everything good," I said softly. "Shall I inform the captain that Phase 2 is approved?" the steward asked. I sipped my coffee slowly, letting the bitterness wash over my tongue. "No," I said. "Not yet." He bowed again and left. The screen flickered as I adjusted the zoom. There she was, sprawled across the bed inside the Diamond Suite, snapping selfies, pouting, checking her angles with the intensity of someone auditioning for a soap opera. "Tavorius, take a picture of me," she demanded. He groaned. "Kenyatta, we just got here." "Exactly. I need a boarding moment video. My followers expect the vibe." Her followers. The same people she lied to about her lifestyle. She posed. Pouted. Twisted. Then she laughed. "Good. Because Mama thinks we broke." They laughed together. That was the moment my heart crystallized into something cold. I walked to the suite's desk and picked up the internal phone. "Captain," I said. "Yes, Madam St. James?" "Prepare to move their luggage." "That includes the designer pieces, madam?" "All of it. Everything they think they're entitled to, remove it." "It will be done." Two crew members approached the pink and gold suitcases below. Tagged them. Lifted them. Gone. Their entire vacation wardrobe, gone. Every wig. Every dress. Every pair of heels. All of it rolled down toward the deepest storage hold. The intercom crackled. "Passengers, please remain near your assigned areas." Minutes later, A knock sounded inside stateroom 404. A steward smiled politely. Mr. and Mrs. St. James? We are sorry, but there has been a clerical correction. This suite belongs to the ship's owner. You must relocate. The color drained from Kenyatta's face. The owner? Yes, madam. They were escorted out, not upward. Downward. To the lowest deck, crew cabin 7B. A bunk bed. Metal sink. Flickering light, Kenyatta screamed, "This is a janitor's closet." "No, madam," the steward said. "This is your cabin." He bowed and locked the door behind him. The engines rumbled, the gilded magnolia began to move, and I stood at my balcony, watching the river open before me. A woman they left behind, a woman they underestimated, a woman arriving in power on her own ship. The ship vibrated with a low, thunderous hum as the engines awakened. The gilded magnolia, my ship, began its slow turn away from the port. Passengers above applauded, cheered, clinked glasses, and captured the moment for their feeds, but deep below, in crew cabin 7B, the cheering sounded like distant mockery. Kenyatta paced the cramped room like a caged tiger. The flickering light above her made every shadow jitter across the metal walls. Her perfume, thick, floral, overwhelming, battled the smell of engine oil and disinfectant. "This is not happening to me," she growled. "Do you hear me, Tavorius? I will not sleep in a broom closet." Tavorius sat on the lower bunk, legs dangling awkwardly. His head hung low, palms pressed to his forehead. He was sweating again, sweating like a guilty man trapped in a sauna of consequences. "Kenyatta, what do you want me to do?" he muttered. "I don't control the ship." "You don't control anything," she snapped. "You can't fix the air conditioning in our house. You can't manage the bills. You didn't manage the roof. And now this?" He flinched at every accusation, shoulders curling inward like a scolded child. "I did book the diamond suite," he said. "The confirmation email said so." "Then what happened to it?" A cruel smile tugged at the corners of his mouth. "If I had to guess, Mama probably called the company and changed something. You know how dramatic she gets." My smile up in the owner's suite was slow, cold, satisfied, blaming me already. If only they knew the truth. I didn't need to call the company. I owned the company. The camera feed flickered as the hallway outside their new cabin shifted. Engine workers passed by, wearing grease-stained uniforms, boots clanking heavily. The metal walls shook with every roar of the turbines. Kenyatta gagged theatrically. "I can't breathe down here," she announced. "This air is toxic. This deck is toxic. This room is toxic. I need to get out." She grabbed the doorknob and yanked, locked. She froze. "Why is it locked?" she whispered. Tavorius stood up slowly. He tried the knob, turned it again, rattled the door. "It's locked from the outside," he realized. Kenyatta's scream tore through the speakers. Up above, in my sweetie, I reclined deeper into the velvet chair. My coffee had gone cold long ago, but I held the cup anyway. It felt like victory. It tasted like justice. On screen, Kenyatta was pounding on the door with both fists. "Let me out. Let US out. You can't keep US in here. Does anyone hear me?" Someone did. A crewman approached the cabin door from the hallway. His voice was calm, respectful. "Mr. and Mrs. St. James," he said through the door. "Please remain inside until the captain authorizes reassignment." "What reassignment?" Kenyatta shrieked. "We didn't authorize anything. Madam, the room you occupied earlier was booked under the original owner's rights." Kenyatta's jaw dropped. "The owner? Why would they take our room?" The crewman paused, for a delicious, heavy second, then he spoke. "The owner boarded earlier today." Silence, thick, suffocating silence filled the tiny cabin, the kind of silence that comes right before lightning strikes a tree in half. Kenyatta whispered. Who is the owner?" "I cannot share that, madam," the crewman replied politely. "But the captain will brief all VIP guests at dinner." Footsteps faded. Kenyatta stared at her husband, eyes wide, horror creeping into her expression. "Tavorius, did you book the room under your name or Mama's name?" My name, he said quietly, so why would the owner override it? He swallowed. I don't know. But I did. The original purchase deed still had my signature printed at the bottom in blue ink. I never removed myself from the hierarchy. My ownership clause had never expired. And my override authority remained active. Just because I left the Empire didn't mean the Empire forgot me. The camera zoomed in as Kenyatta collapsed onto the bunk bed, hands trembling. Tavorius, something isn't right, she whispered. You saw how we left her. You saw what we said. You saw. Tavorius cut her off. She doesn't know anything. She's old. She stays in her little house. She cooks. She gardens. He hesitated, she doesn't fight. Kenyatta's voice dropped to a hiss. Everyone fights when they've been lied to. Dinner ANNOUNCEMENT. The intercom pinged, attention all passengers. The grand dining hall will open in 30 minutes. Formal attire recommended. Passengers above erupted in excitement, laughter, music, heels clicking on polished floors, but in cabin 7B, nothing moved except fear. Kenyatta wiped her face, smeared mascara streaking across her fingers. We can't show up looking like this, she whimpered. Our suitcases are missing. Our clothes are missing. All my makeup, my skincare, my jewelry, everything is gone. Tavorius sat heavily, staring at the floor. I'll fix it, he whispered. You better, she snapped. We'll go to the dining hall. We'll talk to someone. We'll demand the suite back. They won't listen. Kenyatta cried. Did you hear that, crewman? The owner is on board. She lowered her voice to a terrified whisper. What if it's someone rich? Someone powerful? Someone who doesn't like us taking their room? She swallowed. What if they know us? Tavorius stiffened. For the first time since boarding, he felt it too, that creeping sense, that sinking dread, that scalding, icy realization. Someone bigger than them was watching, someone with reach, someone who could snap their comfort in half. Someone who could bury them simply by lifting a pen. Upstairs, I stood and smoothed my scarf. It was time. The grand dining hall chandeliers glittered like constellations pinned to the ceiling. The floor glowed with polished marble. Guests dressed in shimmering gowns and tailored suits flooded the room with conversation, laughter, the clinking of crystal. Then, silence rippled across the hall. A single figure appeared in the doorway at me. The room parted naturally, instinctively, like the Red Sea before Moses. Not because they knew who I was, but because authority is assent, and I had worn it long before any perfume of luxury. Walked down the red carpet walkway with steady steps, my Italian linen pantsuit flowing elegantly, my silk scarf catching the warm chandelier light. Crew members bowed, passengers moved aside. The captain himself met me halfway, straightened his hat, and placed his fist to his chest in salute. Madam St. James, he said loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Welcome to your dining hall. Gasps rippled, whispers followed. Owner.st. James, the owner is here. Who is she? My eyes scanned across the hall, and landed on them. Tavorius and Kenyatta stood near the back, wearing the only clothes they had left, wrinkled travel outfits. They looked small. Out of place. Outclassed. Kenyatta's eyes widened, her mouth fell open, her hand clutched her husband's sleeve. Tavorius, she stammered. Is that? But she couldn't finish the sentence. I didn't give her time. I walked past them, but as I passed, I leaned slightly, just enough for my voice to reach only their ears. Did you enjoy the diamond suite? The blood drained from both their faces so fast I worried they'd faint. I didn't wait for their answer. The captain escorted me to the head table, raised slightly above the rest. Beneath the central chandelier, Saturday crew members stood at attention. Guests watched with a my son and his wife stared at me like they were seeing a ghost of the woman they tried to bury, a ghost they couldn't kill, a ghost who had risen on her own ship. The chandeliers glittered like galaxies above the grand dining hall, but the true brightness in the room wasn't the crystals, it was the shock on my son's face. Stood frozen at the back, half hidden behind a marble pillar, wearing wrinkled travel clothes and fear as his new cologne. Kenyatta clung to his arm as though the floor might collapse beneath her, did not look in their direction a second time. Not yet. The captain escorted me to the head table, long, velvet-draped, elevated above the others, and pulled out my chair himself. Every set of eyes in the room shifted toward me, whispers rose like wildfire. That's the owner? She looks regal. Is she old money? She commands the room, she walks like the ship belongs to her. It did. I lifted my glass. Thank you, Captain. He bowed deeply. Your presence honors the vessel, Madame St. James. The hall glowed with a respectful hush. Guests who had been bragging loudly minutes ago quieted instantly, like children caught misbehaving when their grandmother walks in. Saturday the orchestra above shifted to a softer, more reverent melody. A queen taking her throne, across the room. Tavorius swallowed so hard I could see his throat bob. Kenyatta trembled beside him, smudged mascara marking her cheeks like melting war paint. It was time for the next move. The captain makes an announcement. Captain Thaddeus stepped forward, clearing his throat. His voice boomed across the hall, amplified by perfect acoustics. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce the owner of the Gilded Magnolia. Utensils froze mid-air. Champagne flutes hovered. Chairs stopped creaking. Every passenger turned toward me. Kenyatta turned ghost white. Tavorius looked like someone hit him with a frying pan. Madame Aurelia St. James, the captain finished proudly, placing a hand on his chest. Gasps rippled across the tables. The St. James name still carried weight, power, history, legacy, and my ungrateful son had forgotten every part of it. I stood slowly. The entire hall rose with me, all except two people. Tavorius and Kenyatta sank lower into their chairs. The owner Speaksy offered a gentle smile, the same smile I used when sealing million-dollar deals. Thank you all, I said warmly. This ship holds deep meaning for me. Years ago, I oversaw the company that built her. Today, I return, not as a passenger, my gaze flicked, razor-sharp, toward my son, but as the rightful owner. A collective murmur swept through the room. Kenyatta clutched Tavorius's wrist so tightly he winced. I wasn't done. It brings me joy to see families traveling together, I continued. Parents. Children. Loved ones. Those who uplift one another, I paused, and those who show their true character when they think no one is watching. A low, knowing laugh rippled through some of the wealthier guests. They knew exactly what was being insinuated. My son shrunk. My daughter-in-law shrunk harder. I lifted my glass. To truth, I said softly. To honesty. And to seeing people for who they really are. To truth, the hall echoed, but the words stabbed two hearts like knives. Down below, a problem brews. While dinner continued, something else was unfolding on deck B4. Kenyatta's voice could be heard from the hallway outside her cabin. Even muffled through the speakers of the monitor, her rage was volcanic. This is humiliation. Public humiliation, she cried. She planned this. She plotted this entire thing. My son's voice was small. Kenyatta, stop yelling. People can hear you. I want them to hear, she screamed. She thinks she's smarter than me. She thinks she's above me. But she forgot. Her voice softened, darkened, sharpened. She gave us power. She signed it all over. She can't take back what's ours. My eyebrows lifted in amusement. Ours, honey, you don't even have a window in your room. I zoomed the screen. Kenyatta paced back and forth on the bunk, shoes off, hair wild, fury blazing through every gesture. We need a plan, she hissed. A real plan. She wants to embarrass us? Fine. But we're not going to let her play queen. Tavorius sounded terrified. Kenyatta, please, don't do anything crazy. Crazy, she whispered, her eyes narrowing. No. Not crazy. Smart. She leaned close to him. She's old, Tavorius. She's weak. She's emotionally fragile. If something were to happen to her on this ship, he grabbed her shoulders. No. Absolutely not. Oh, now you have a spine, she spat. When it's about her. He flinched backward. Kenyatta exhaled slowly, calculating. Fine, she said. We won't hurt her. Her lips curved into a sinister smile. But we will take back what's ours. Up above, my next movie. I tapped the intercom beside my table. Captain, I said quietly. Yes, madam? Prepare Phase 3. There was no hesitation, at once. I stood, lifting my glass once more, as servers prepared for dessert. A spotlight clicked on my spotlight, the crowd fell silent. The captain stepped up beside me, holding a clipboard. Before we conclude dinner, he announced, we must make one important correction to our passenger roster. Gasps, whispers, confusion. Kenyatta's fingers dug into Tavorius's arm like talons. It has come to our attention, the captain continued, that 2 passengers boarded under fraudulent circumstances. A single murmur rolled through the room like thunder. Heads turned, eyes sharpened. Kenyatta's breath hitched audibly. They acquired a suite using funds that did not belong to them. Silence dropped like a guillotine, and misrepresented their authority. The back of the room erupted with murmurs. Sun looked like he might faint. Kenyatta looked like she wanted to murder the air itself. The captain held up his clipboard. The owner has ordered a full audit of their booking, financial actions, and cabin eligibility. Passengers looked around, whispering rapidly, who? Which couple? What did they do? Are they getting kicked off? I lifted one finger, that was the cue. A spotlight swung, and landed directly on my son and daughter-in-law. Screams. Gasps. Laughter. Phones raised. Cameras flashed, they were exposed fully, publicly. Kenyatta's jaw snapped open, Tavorius choked on his own breath, and the entire ship watched them crumble.